Previously on Destiny. They called it the Traveller, and now it is here. In the very least, this first act brings about a dawn of a new shape. The light of the Traveller is renewed and born again. As the dust settles on the final shape's campaign, first act, and our confrontation with the Witness, there is no doubt that many of you Guardians will have questions, undoubtedly, about the survival of humanity, Eliksni, Cabal, and the Awoken. On that note, take this moment as your spoiler warning. As with all things expansions or releases from Bungie, if it has been shared by Bungie officially, we will be discussing it on the channel. If it hasn't, then I won't be discussing it or revealing it just yet. Welcome back, Guardians. My name is Samlam. In today's video, I'll be discussing a subject which has been heavily debated for a number of years, since the Season of Dawn actually, which is close to 5 years ago. Though based on the thumbnail, I'm sure you can piece together where I'm going with this idea. For this video, I wanted to do something different, in order to get my facts straight. Looking further ahead will give us a clearer context of where we're headed in Destiny's future. Now, if you're here, you might have seen the thumbnail to see what it's all about, while servers were down pre-launch during your experience of the expansion, or at the very end of the expansion. Ladies and gentlemen, before getting into the core content of this topic, it is important for you to understand that much of what we'll discuss isn't 100% factual, and there is plenty of room for interpretation. I will do my best, however, to make sure the conversation is being driven in a way that you may find informative. There are core aspects of humanity's golden age technology that we will need for advancing forward as peoples and as species. Assuming I'm right, many of you will either be new players to Destiny or fabled veteran players ready to step through the extraspatial portal of the Traveller and assemble to defend the Traveller. Depending on the extent of your progress in the Final Shape story, there are most definitely a lot of questions and sadness during and post-campaign main story. Without spoilers or speculation, lore has hinted that there are various scenarios in which this could go. The Dark Future Lorebook is a series of entries from Elsie Bray's personal diary depicting the various versions of humanity that is defeated after the wrath of the Witness invaded our system. The first is that the Witness claims a partial victory, but ultimately we lose Earth. Second, and suffer severe losses but manage to save humanity with the help of New Monarchy, Concordat, Future War Cult, and Dead Orbit. Number 3. We defeat the Witness, suffer great loss, in a way of the Traveller sacrificing itself to restore Earth to its original shape. This would ultimately be a major win for humanity, but a big disaster for Ghosts and Guardians, due to the Ghost returning to the Traveller as severing us, as they are the main connection we have to the light. Now, make no mistake, these 3 ideas are entirely speculative, I can admit that, but based on everything we've read in Destiny lore and many of cutscene stills we have seen, there is more to this story than it appears. Hear me out. There is a very important lore book called Constellations, and it serves as a primary example of a speaker's diary. Based on the chronology of the order of the lore entries, we can draw the conclusion that these journal logs were kept by the last speaker. Have a listen to this lore entry titled Dreaming. You are the first to dream. In the dream, you are shaping coarse sand with your hands. You lift a handful, and it feels like the shifting of mountains. You drag your finger through the dirt to make a twisting line and hear the roar of moving water. You breathe and feel the rush of clean, bright wind in your hair. Suddenly you are far, far, far up in the air, higher than you've ever been. You have gone to the very top of Freehold's tallest skyscrapers, but this is much higher, and you see the world below with much greater fidelity. It is a beautiful green world, much greener than any place you've ever seen before. It looks like home. I am the first to dream. The dream can happen at any time. A veil drops in front of my eyes and I see strange moving images. I am someone else, or I am myself. Reimagined, I can't say. In the dreams, I shape planets with my own hands. At first, I believe I am mad. The clinicians at Braywell call it interplanetary relocation maladjustment psychosis, a psychobabble catch-all for mental disturbances that they can't explain. Other people, searching for certainty, call it prophecy. But all I can offer is a loose, tangible connection that painstakingly unravels when I dream. I am drawn to a bright and attentive star. I speak to it through feeling. It understands implicitly. Now I stand before a crowd. The murmuring is the bone-deep rumble of shifting tectonic plates. A screen behind me plays looping, blurry footage of the Traveller terraforming Venus. The images radiate with pale light. We've watched this footage many times. I glide through space as if through water, tugged in 9 directions by any impulses. In front of the crowd I sway a little. I copse the trees bending in the dream wind. I can't help it. I'm dreaming more often than not. There is a whispering from the deep dark, alluring and terrifying, a reminder of things left behind, bittersweet and abhorrent. A crackle of static on the screen behind me brings me back to earth, resetting my feet firmly on the ground. These people have come here for my insights. I lean forward and speak to the crowd. 4 tenets, aching with truth. The Traveller is a force of benevolence. The Traveller is a sentient being with free will, dreams, hopes, and fears. The Traveller will save us. The Traveller will leave us. One of the most interesting things about this lore entry is we are seeing 3 different perspectives all taking place simultaneously. The first is from the viewpoint of the Traveller, but as a dream thought and eyes of the speaker. The phrase, "I am the first," could either be in reference to the moment when the Traveller itself is speaking through a dream of a dream, or a moment which actually takes place, the terraforming of Venus in a vivid and very real way. Ultimately, it is illogical in nature, but bears massive significance of the future of destiny and where we are about to go. I already explained that we are already experiencing in the final shape and beyond. So think of this like a compendium of knowledge, spread out across the beginning, middle and end. There isn't a single lore entry, podcast or video that doesn't bear massive significance to the history and wider story of Destiny. In particular, I wanted to draw your attention to the very final words in the entry. These last 4 lines of text bear such a big significance to the story of Destiny, and ultimately something that we may all have overlooked, but one that even Nezarec, the god of pain, referenced. But we'll get into that in another video. These were the words ushered by the speaker in question. I lean forward and speak to the crowd, 4 tenets aching with truth. The Traveller is a force of benevolence. The Traveller is a sentient being with free will, dreams, hopes, and fears. The Traveller will save us. The Traveller will leave us. fuller picture is slowly coming together. However, I don't think this is a question that we really asked. Will the Traveler survive? And if we defeat the Witness and save the Sol system, it is ultimately impossible for us to tell what sort of condition the Traveler will be in the end. Earlier this year, I talked about the idea of the light and darkness working in cycles. What I mean by that is the premise that all cycles come to an end. All elemental forces work in a similar nature. No matter what, these elements by design frequently change shape on a regular basis, going from one extreme to another, hot to cold, cold to hot, solid to liquid, liquid to vapor. The light and darkness are no different. Even the Witch Queen Savathun said it herself.
The line between light and dark is so very thin. If you ever want to know what's been watching you since the very beginning, just stand on that line and look up.
When I first heard this statement, I always thought that this was the literal sense. But since the revelation of Prismatic, everything has become abundantly clearer to me. Even the Nine tried to show us this. Light and darkness are both forms of light. A yin and yang, if you prefer. Two sides of the same coin. Both in paracausal nature represent a union that must exist. Although the light will try to chase darkness away, it ultimately cannot. Darkness is that of itself necessary, part of light's functionality. Allow me to explain. When the light is at its brightest, a shadow is cast. So, what is it? A shadow is a dark area where light from a light source is blocked by an object. If this is true, then it makes complete sense. This is why when the Awoken were created, the Traveler could not completely undo the darkness, thus forming a union, giving birth to the creation of the Awoken people. Fundamentally, these are the laws of the universe. Where there is darkness, you will always find light. And wherever there is light, you will always find darkness. This is true within our surroundings and within people. We have the choice to walk in the light or in the dark, but ultimately we are fettered to walk a tightrope and choose which path we will take. And the final shape represents this very idea. Well, part of it at least. Right, now that we've gotten these important elements out of the way, there is a little more for us to discuss about the future of Destiny. Humanity as a whole is likely to still be reeling from the impact of the Witness on the Sol system, and like many of the news reports from the Central Herald, there are multiple questions to address in terms of the expansion of humanity's defense, establishing formal relations between Earth and Neptune, investment of Golden Age resources from Neomuna with Earth, reactivation of certain protocols left by Rasputin. For the first time in history, Guardians were able to overcome one of the most difficult obstacles in their path to peace. And although it did come at a heavy cost, there will be little time to stop. Other forces of unquestionable power are poised, ready to snap at our heels. One of the most valuable strategic moves that humanity could make is re-establishing the terrestrial arrays. Not only is it a Golden Age treasure trove of information, it contains what is left of core protocols initiated by Rasputin before the first collapse. Granted, we could probably use the help of a sentient AI like Rasputin, but Golden Age AIs aren't being stocked in the thousands, though there may be another way around such an endeavor, and I have a few ideas as to how something like that would be possible. Firstly, we could potentially leverage the remnants of Rasputin's code or data to recreate an AI system. Secondly, harnessing the power of Golden Age tech with the help of Neomuna could open up new avenues in development. Lastly, collaboration with allied alien races might yield fresh insights into advanced AI technology. However, each of these options comes with its own set of challenges and potential pitfalls. It would require skilled engineers, the right resources, and a significant amount of time. Despite these challenges, the potential benefits make it a path worth exploring. As we move forward, we must remember that we are not alone in this journey. By partnering with our allies and pooling our resources, we can begin to rebuild and strengthen our defenses. Our resilience as a species will be tested, but if history has shown us anything, it's that humanity can rise to meet any challenge. In the expansive universe of Destiny, our Sol system is but a small part of the vast Milky Way galaxy. A barred spiral galaxy containing billions of stars, planets, and countless other celestial bodies. As Guardians, we are invited to imagine the thrilling possibility of exploring countless other star systems, teeming with mysteries and adventure yet to be discovered. Within the lore of Destiny, the Milky Way represents a frontier of endless potential, with humanity's next best destination being the closest promising system like Alpha Centauri, where the hope of finding new resources, allies, and perhaps even new forms of life could further our survival and expansion in this richly detailed universe. According to data from NASA's exoplanet program, the closest habitable worlds are actually already within reach of our solar system. You know them all well: Mars, Europa, Enceladus, and Earth. Given the history of humanity's exploits, it would make sense for us to reclaim the ancient dust-capped cities of Freehold or the frozen tundras of Eventide Colony. So for lack of better immediate options aside from Neptune, let us for a moment consider Enceladus as a viable option. Known as one of many moons of Saturn, it holds hydrothermal vents on the floor of its subsurface oceanic dynamics, similar to Earth's when life originated billions of years ago. Sounds pretty cozy, right? The idea that this moon is considered viable is due to research from NASA's scientists. The giant plumes of ice grains and water vapor spewing from Saturn's moon Enceladus is rich in organic compounds, some of which are important for life as we know it. Taking it a step further, they believe that these very compounds provide evidence for the next habitable step for organic life. Now, as ambiguous as it may be, there is very loose threads of connection to Enceladus. In particular, Petrevenge has implied there is a secret of interest to her located on the moon. Recoverable evidence isn't concrete, but there is debate among lawmasters and cryptarchs as to whether the Traveller terraformed Jupiter. When the Traveller visited Jupiter, it terraformed the surrounding moons minus Europa, which would later be colonized by humanity anyway. There are rumors that cities encrusted and abandoned are all that remain. One grimoire even suggests that survivors of Jupiter and its moons may have undergone some kind of physical transformation in speculation of the Nine. Almost all of the Milky Way falls under the governance of the Nine. The Sol system, outer bodies, and the list goes on. Until we receive more up-to-date information or confirmation from Bungie on the next steps of expanding into the wider system, our journey further out is close at hand. Given the weight of multiple situations, it is paramount that humanity establishes a good offense and a good defense. Without the aid of Rasputin, we do not have this. Except of course for the different companies that still remain offering weapons and armaments. They are and have been our defense against the sailing horrors of the night during the collapse and during the Golden Age. Recently though, there was a law entry from our very own leader of the Black Armory, Ada 1. It's a peculiar little ditty, as Eris would say, pertaining to information around a conversation in particular. I plan to cover this more fully in another lore video, but for the moment, have a listen to this armament lore entry titled Blast Furnace. Forged in the hottest fires.
And I will personally produce a limited number of previously unreleased designs. An alternate version of Blast Furnace, for example.
Ada 1 explained. First you strong-arm us into altering our specs, the Vice Rep scoffed. And now you come begging for the very models the Vanguard rejected. They would have turned the Crucible into a graveyard, Shaxx interjected. I don't regret—
I think what Lord Shaxx means to say,
Ada 1 interrupted, shooting the Titan a razor-sharp glance,
is that your prototypes were ahead of market. Their time to shine is now.
Can the soft sell? Replied the Omolon Rep. The numbers are right, so we're in. But what's the catch? The Vice Rep asked suspiciously.
No catch.
Ada 1 steeped her fingers.
In a year's time, we'll all be dead.
The reps shifted uncomfortably.
Or we'll have defeated the Witness,
she continued.
In either case, it's time to diversify our offerings, with newly released designs and more.
The Vice Rep arched her eyebrow. What do you have in mind? Ada 1's tone warmed slightly.
Just an idea. There's an old Cosmodrome program whose revival I think could be quite useful.
Ada 1 mentions something quite significant and noteworthy. The extract I have brought up many times on the channel before in relation to the Cosmodrome. Any lore entry bringing up the Cosmodrome is quite a big deal for many reasons. But the main question that comes to mind is which program? Rasputin officiated multiple programs attached to the development of the Cosmodrome. The Siva program, Exodus program, the Terrestrial Array. Here are the access points of which all programs affiliated with the Cosmodrome centered on. It was the three-pronged attack initiated by Rasputin for humanity to survive. Grow, develop. Without these components working together, the plan would fail. Detection and communication, space travel, and colonization. These efforts to ensure the prognation of humanity travelling out amongst the stars, because it was our destiny. But alas, the Witness arrived with his disciples, Nezarec, and thus brought an end to it all. For conversational sake, we'll centre around the Terrestrial Array. This facility is the only one of its kind that Guardians and humanity have gained access to. Skywatch is overall the name given to a collection of array points known as the Terrestrial Array, in an intricately designed network of satellite and ground stations, facilitating communication and detection across vast cosmic distances. It was primarily designed to maintain contact with deep space exoplanetary missions, but it also has the potential to play a crucial role in the defense of Earth and its colonies. By reactivating this network, we could potentially create and advance early warning system, detect incoming threats, and coordinate responses across multiple fronts. There are three main facilities that make up the totality of the arrays: the Jovian Complex, the Terrestrial Complex, and the Lunar Complex. The Lunar Complex was responsible for maintaining contact with the outposts on the Moon. After the Great Disaster, the Hive occupied it and were temporarily sealed within by the House of Devils. The Terrestrial Complex was responsible for maintaining contact with Mercury, Venus, and Mars. It is currently occupied by the House of Kings, and it is the site of the last functional array station. The Jovian Complex was responsible for maintaining contact with colonies beyond the asteroid belt, and it was partially demolished and serves as Omnigul's lair. As Omnigul has been defeated, this complex is strategically one of the most valuable, and it confirms that there were in fact outer colonies established in the outer asteroid belt. The planets outside this asteroid belt are termed the outer planets: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And if this is the case, then somewhere hidden in plain sight is another sect of humanity other than Neomuna, waiting to be discovered and ultimately reunited. Whether things begin to go badly for Earth or not, it is my understanding that it will be extremely valuable for the last city to re-establish control and de-wild the Cosmodrome, and quickly search for others out amongst the stars. But for now, that's all I have for you. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video and found it worth listening to. If you did, feel free to like and comment below. Tell me, which planet would you like to see Guardians head to next? If you enjoy these kinds of lore videos, then subscribe. Click the bell to find out when my next lore video goes live. Remember that no matter what you're facing at this moment in time, you can do all things. Stay safe and Godspeed.